I now wish to invite the last speaker, the Honorable Manamela, to the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
All the honorable members.
Honorable President, Honorable Deputy President, Honorable members. I think if there are any willing, clever people, who will have to borrow them to the DA, because their collective response has been so terrible today, so they actually need willing, clever people to help them to respond to the state of the nation. Honorable Athol Trollip, Shakespeare also said,
Order, members.
Shakespeare also said, and I quote, "I will challenge you to a battle of wits, but I see you are unarmed and you have left the house." But he also said in The Tempest, "Hell is empty and all the devils are here." Or maybe I should remind you of what he said in The Merchant of Venice, and I quote, "You speak an infinite deal of nothing." But I'm sure I'm sure Shakespeare had you in mind when he wrote The Fall of the White Xhosa-speaking Prince, and I quote, "At two zille, why had thee moved thy lap? For I, your loyal dog, had fallen." I was listening interestingly to Honorable Holomisa, who was complaining about ukugwinya nokugwinywa. The only difference is that you are processing and
being swallowed,
and therefore it has got no effect on you. But you have no say at all. And to be gwinya
being swallowed, and to be
ever happen to a Democrat, to a former Democrat. Last week, we listened attentively to a State of the Nation address of a special type that was to be delivered ever since the commencement of this fourth parliament. It was presented as both a government report back on the 5 priorities, which is education, health, job creation, rural development, and safety and security, and included a set of actions to be implemented this year. The State of the Nation address detailed practical projects that are being implemented since 2009 by this government. With all the projects in place as detailed both by the President and eloquently by Honorable Minister of Public Enterprise, Malusi Gigaba, it came as no surprise that some in the House and other social and political commentators had no clue on how to respond to such complex progress that has been done by this government. The State of the Nation was also a government program of action that was not premised on mere promises, but gave hope where it seems to be fading, and more importantly, a clarion call for collective action by all our people to build a better nation. Yours, Comrade President, was not an address clouded with fancy and flair quotations from renowned scholars, but was one intended to communicate the needs, interests, and aspirations, more so of the grade 12 learners that you met with in preparation to this address. We applaud you and the government for being frank about the challenges of unemployment, poverty, and inequality without paying lip service to these challenges. There are those who chose to deliberately be blind to the intention of the state of our nation and quickly rush to their pigeonholes of feeble criticism, whilst others desperately try to score cheap political points, as we have seen over this weekend's newspapers, and the showmanship that was displayed here today. According to them, the crime of the Honorable President was not the content of the State of the Nation address, but the fact that it was delivered. In fact, I'm sure if you were there when Jesus was walking on water, as Bishop Tutu would retort, you would have actually accused him of not knowing how to swim. For example, the Honorable Lindiwe Mazibuko, in her blind charade in the Sunday newspapers, which she repeated here today, reflected this bankruptcy. Even tweets shows that it was expected what she was going to say, that the president is a lame duck, the president is a weak leader, and all manner of things. There is no confidence, there is nkandla, there is corruption, and the fact of the matter is that there are processes which have been undertaken by the public protector, for instance, on the nkandla issue, and no one has interfered with that. No one has said that it should not be done. And we must clarify this distortion which keeps on being repeated in this house, that the president used public money to build a house for his family. We must clarify that distortion, and I hope, Honorable Speaker, at some point we'll have to take that members who repeat that distortion head on. I'm sure in her position, occupying the glorified post of leader of opposition, when there are far better people in both her party and the opposition benches, she would know what it means to be a lame duck, as she has perfected the cliche by being one on a daily basis, while party leader Helen Zille runs the show from the provincial legislature. By the way, there's only one reason why Honorable Mazibuko would appraise the FNB adverts, which FNB itself has acceded that it was scripted and people have acted. The only reason why she would accede to that is because she herself comes here to this house with pre-scripted speeches and repeats them to all of us and the whole country. The reason is that every year and in every debate, the goalpost keeps on changing when it comes to the response by the opposition parties. When the president presents a vision, they say, where is the implementation plan? When the president presents a report card, they say, where is the vision? I can type, I can write, you see? So don't worry, I can do that. This did not arrive by email from the provincial legislature of Cape Town. In fact, a closer look at the speech of the Honorable Lindiwe Mazibuko reflects that a response to the State of the Nation was already written even before the President delivered the State of the Nation. She accuses the President of reheating the previous State of the Nation just so that she can be excused for her repetitive annual in-clamber session that she dishes out in every debate. A colleague of mine was showing me a tweet by City Press Online. Lindiwe Mazibuko repeated the same thing she's been saying for the last 4 years. So it's not only me who sees that, even the city press and the people out there. The response by some in the coalition on my left, which in our view does not honor the title of official opposition, was so weak that even if strengthened calls from afar that we need to be blessed with a new opposition party after 2014 general. We've heard just recently, people are saying we need a new opposition because the current opposition has just failed us. Hopefully, when that happens, we will have a valuable debate about the State of the Nation address. Honorable President, honorable members, youth unemployment is a global crisis. There is no silver bullet for youth unemployment. According to the ILO, more than 6 million young people have joined the long queues of the unemployed and are neither in school nor in a training facility or skills institutions. Countries which are in BRICS and all over the world are battling with the same problem that our own government is dealing with. Because of its global phenomena, our country had to deal with both the internal and external drivers of youth employment. Typically, many nations have resorted to traditional measures such as imposed austerity, increased tariffs on imported goods, stricter control of their borders, and over-subsidization of their main economic sectors. As governments all over the world steamed ahead to save individual shareholders in the financial sector, our government was bold enough to increase public sector spending, halt retrenchments, and introduce new schemes and incentives to encourage job retention and job creation. This has led to governments saving millions of jobs and concentrating their efforts to create new ones. This required boldness and determination in a period where there was none, and as a result, we are recognized as one of the few countries that will soon come out of the red in relation to youth unemployment. Our economy, like all other major economies, has not been creating new jobs, and this has affected millions of young people eager to join the labor market. To suggest that youth employment is stagnated by inflexible labor laws and high entry-level wages is simplistic, to say the least. Go and tell that to the workers in Doran who for years were subjected to starvation wages. Go and tell that to the workers, 14,000 workers in Goldfield who may actually be retrenched and who the DA has the pride to come here in this house and defend. It is about time that you are exposed for you who are and who you respect.
Hello, order.
Honorable Speaker, I not only prepared my accent to present this speech, I also prepared the actual speech. So people who only prepare their accent must not disturb me. The DA should take full responsibility of what happened in Dorrance. Your leader, still with the beautiful aroma of the cars she enjoyed at the Guptas and a check in hand, went straight to Dorrance and opted to meet with the farm owners and take their side. The DA should take full responsibility for the fact that it was their MEC for police who issued instructions that led to the death of 2 workers and the injury of many others. For you to always blame national ministers when you fail to lead in the Western Cape is a disgust and a reflection of the same weaknesses which you claim is in the ruling party. Some in this House, Honorable President, were only interested to hear the words youth wage subsidy. And for them, without this, there was no State of the Nation address. They closed their eyes and ears to a plethora of interventions that were proposed as part of the State of the Nation address. This is solely because of several reasons, and one of those being that the DA sees the youth wage subsidy as their own pet project. And once the president says youth wage subsidy, it means for them a launch for their election campaign and banking on the vulnerable young people. But it also means that they will want to continue to fuel divisions between the alliance structures and also the Progressive Youth Alliance. It is actually disingenuous to suggest that the president conceded to the youth wage accord and the youth employment incentive solely because he sought re-election in Mangaung. For your information and free education, you see, this thing of jumping courses doesn't help. COSATU does not vote in the conference of the ANC. The alliance between COSATU and the ANC is not based on a tit for tat. It is not based on convenience. It is an alliance forged in struggle and will never be divided on the basis of inter-party elections. Unlike your alliance,
honorable members, order.
Unlike your alliance with what you have just gwinned, which is COPE, UDM, and everybody else, in these corridors of power and have no principles, and it's not in the interest of our people, but merely seek to assert the dominance of the DA with the hope that one day we will only have a 2-party parliament and so forth. COSATU and the ANC will remain allies forever and will outlive all paper alliances, especially of those who bumped each other here in parliament. It is interesting to know that your orchestrated, mischievous, cunning plot behind a motion of no confidence, which was raised last year, was intended to ensure that the president is not re-elected in Mangaung. Your confession was quite revealing, and we're quite happy to learn that. To hide behind the Constitutional Court proceedings and the fact that the motion has expired does not hold water at all. The fact is that structures of the ANC has spoken. The people will speak in 2014 and vote for the ANC again in government, and you will remain here. Hopefully the Madam Honorable Premier of the Western Cape would have found somebody else to repeat that which she once said here in Parliament. In fact, if I were you, Honorable Mazibuko, I would be busy doing a background check on Honorable Likota there, because everything that he touches, although it seems like gold, actually turns into something else. I can favor you with the numbers of Honorable Mr. Mbazima Shilowa and many other people who fell in his road to a vicious trail to political power. Instead of cutting a dress to celebrate your short-lived governance of Tlokwe, I would be washing the Cassius Likota, for he has a lean and hungry look. Look at it. Such men are dangerous. One of the most forgiving leaders of the ANC and of the country, Comrade Nelson Mandela, had to relieve Honorable Likota as Premier of the Free State and redeployed him here in the National Council of Provinces. This energy of him coming here to say he will never be silenced was not there when he was leader of the ANC and of government in the Free State. If this energy was there and was positive revolutionary energy, we would not have Harry Smith. We would not have had Harry Smith as the first ever service delivery protest in this country, under your clock, under your leadership. If this honesty, integrity, and holier-than-thou attitude would have been there, the ANC and Parliament would not have penalized you for having been silent about some wine cellar here, a bit of a property in Bloemfontein and in Durban, and probably a couple of shares in petroleum distribution company. Now, because you are in the comfort of the opposition benches, because you are in the comfort of the opposition benches and the responsibility of governing no longer lies on your shoulder, you can easily, without fear, hurl all of those allegations, shout all of those things that you've been shouting every year when there is a debate on the State of the Nation address. In our view, as the ANC, the Youth Employment Accord, which you referred to, Honorable President, represents an integrated strategy to resolve youth unemployment in both the immediate and long term. It is an accord based on long days of engagements and discussions, but more importantly, it is a sign of collective commitments by all sectors of our society. If the DA and all its hangers-on are willing to accept this consensus, are not willing to accept this consensus, the train will move with those who are prepared to move. This accord identifies problems on both the supply and demand side of the labor market. It facilitates commitment by both the private sector at NEDLEC and the public sector. It also, because you don't have any experience in governing except in some cloakwear for 6 days, you wouldn't know what it means to establish consensus amongst different parties. And part of this consensus includes a